Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. And if you're feeling charitable, please smash that subscribe button. You're never going to do it, are you? Please smash the like button. I think one person done it last time. And welcome to the Doctor Who Daily. Did you enjoy the ultimate ginger watch-along on Twitter? So, did you enjoy re-watching Vincent and the Doctor with commentary from people like Emma Freud, who I didn't know, but actually produced Doctor Who? The guy who actually played Vincent, and I've forgotten his name because I'm following him on Twitter. I must say that him and Karen Gillan were different class last night with all the tweets. There was a lot of tweets they put up, and I respect that. Now, we were told Matt Smith was making his debut on Twitter. Apparently, we were getting commentary from Richard Curtis. I never read anything from Richard Curtis. Bill Nye and Matt Smith were on this same account. Now, let me tell you the difference and why I wasn't feeling it as much last night. When Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat did it, they created their brand new individual Twitter accounts. And you could interact with them. And they'd like the stuff and they'd reply to you sometimes. If they could, there's loads of people trying to talk to them, of course. And that's exciting to be able to interact with these people. Now, with the account with Matt and Bill Nye, they're literally pre-said things and they're being posted from 7 to 7:45. Do you know what I mean? Right, so it's a bit more impersonal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not demanding that Bill Nye and Matt Smith should have had individual Twitter accounts. But when you're plugging something, and in the end, yes, it was good. I mean, I think Bill Nye put a few more interesting things. Matt was okay, if that was really Matt, right? But I think that Karen and the guy, I forgot his name now, is it Mark something? Basically, who played Vincent, was amazing last night, and I appreciate them being there. But I'm going to make a confession. I don't know Vincent and the Doctor so well. It's not an episode I've put on multiple repeat mode, right? I think that Vincent and the Doctor is a groundbreaking Doctor Who episode. The commentary on mental health is beautiful. The performance from the guy playing Vincent, Matt Smith, Karen Gillan, the music, the directing, the writing, if the current irritation, the era of Doctor Who, if Chris Chibnall wants to study how to do social issue commentary on something like mental health, because he did do it this in season 12 of Doctor Who, didn't he? And a lot of people criticised it, right? If you want to make commentary on mental health, and let's not forget, Vincent and the Doctor made commentary on mental health before it was hip to do so. That's when it's the right time to do it, because there were still mentally ill people there screaming for help, watching Doctor Who and getting help from Vincent and the Doctor. And Emily Rossina, who's been running these tweet-alongs, she's a brilliant person, actually talked about knowing someone with mental health issues as well, which was pretty awesome. And she actually told us where we can go to if we need any help, which again is awesome. But Vincent and the Doctor isn't my favourite ever episode of Doctor Who. As I said, I don't know it so well. But I do appreciate it for what it is. It's such a good, beautiful commentary on mental health. And I tell you, the relationship between Vincent, the Doctor, and Amy is brilliant. The way he just looks at Amy and says, "I love you." It's brilliant. And don't forget, this is the first season for Matt and Karen. So it's all very new, and everyone looks extremely young. But I tell you what, the guy who played Vincent still looks the same. He was doing videos on Twitter. It was amazing. And this is what I'm talking about with Matt. We were told that he was going to be on Twitter, and he wasn't really. And I mean, if he did what the actor who played Vincent did, with doing a video with the actual portrait of Vincent from the episode, that's what I want to see. I'm not saying Matt should have done things differently or been there. What I'm saying is, if Matt's not going to be there and just make a few kind of comments, it really wasn't worth it, because we all got excited and it really was. Now listen, we're not paying for this. Emily's doing something nice and beautiful. I admit this. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the Day of the Doctor and Rose, right? There's no way, trip of a lifetime. I think they were more exciting because Russell was there and interacting, and as I said, Stephen was too. Now, April the 2nd or 3rd, this Friday, I think, we are doing a new watch-along. We are all, as Doctor Who fans, thanks to Emily, going to be watching the 11th hour, the first episode of Matt Smith's Doctor. Again, this is an episode I don't know so well, but I think it's a great introduction, right? Again, it's not one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Vincent and the Doctor a little bit more extensively because I do really love the episode. Even, I've admitted, I think it's important to admit as a Doctor Who fan that I don't know certain episodes so well. I'm much of the classic era of Doctor Who. I don't know. When people talk about characters and monsters and storylines from the classic era, I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, my first Doctor was Peter Davison. I watched all of them repeatedly. If you ask me now, if you put a light in my eye and said, Mick, tell me something. Apart from Tegan, Chameleon, Adric, right, and of course Peter Davison's Doctor, I wouldn't remember much from it because I don't really. I think I've got The Caves of Androzani and that's it. And I've got that on my Prime Video and I haven't seen it for years and I can't remember much about that either. So I don't know Vincent and the Doctor so well, but I do respect it for what it is, for what it attempts to do. I think that Richard Curtis did an amazing job. That guy should be writing Doctor Who, more Doctor Who. These are the kind of people that Chris Chibnall hasn't got in his armoury. Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat had some very, very clever people who are also Doctor Who fans, a.k.a. Neil Gaiman, right? He doesn't have that in his armoury. What he's got is a bunch of soap writers. Now, I love the soaps and I appreciate soap writers, but there's one thing writing a soap or writing Doctors than writing an episode of Doctor Who. I'm not saying it can't be done, but if you want to do that, you've still got to have these talented Doctor Who fans like Richard Curtis and Neil Gaiman. You know, that's what made those eras of Doctor Who so special. And Richard Curtis writing this episode is such a poignant, emotional episode. And there's not really a character in the episode that misses a beat. You know, sometimes a companion can be a bit annoying. Rose could be really annoying in season 2 or even in season 1 with the gas mask 2-part from Stephen Moffat, right? She was wearing the Union Jack. She was so annoying. That blast pattern, isn't it? Yeah, smooth, isn't it? Oh, I like it. Things like that. Just annoying, right? But in this episode, I thought that, and don't forget, and some people will forget this, but I think isn't it the episode before that Rory died, and that was wiped from Amy's mind, right? If I remember rightly, right? It could be that episode, because the Doctor's obviously trying to make up for all that. So he takes her to the museum, they meet the curator, then they realise there's something wrong with one of Van Gogh's paintings. So then they go back. And he's trying. One of my favourite moments from this episode is when he's at the bar and nobody will serve him a drink because they know he's no good for it, right? I'll give you the money, and everyone starts laughing. And then the Doctor offers to pay, and then they have this weird argument. Then he has an argument with the waiter or the waitress or whatever, right? And then Amy says, "Shut up," which I think is brilliant. And she goes, "I'm going to buy a bottle of wine, and I'm going to share it with it. I'm going to share it with whomever I please." So I think that breaks the ice, and he looks at her. And I think even now, what he says about Amy, "Oh, I like your companion. She's cute." He calls her cute, right? If a man called a woman cute on a TV show or movie now, there will be an uproar over on the Twitter sphere, right? You know that. But anyway, I don't mind that kind of stuff. I don't mind if you want to call me cute. You're never going to call me cute. But if you did call me cute, I'm not offended, girls, because in an old-fashioned type of way, aren't I? No? Okay. But anyway, so you see this relationship blooming. And one of my favourite moments from this episode is when the Doctor runs in the TARDIS and he's going through his box of tricks and he finds this thing he puts over his neck. It's got this kind of mirror thing which he can kind of see the creature with. Now, if we go right near to the end of the completion of this episode, when the creature dies, again, this was kind of the season 5 Moffat era theme of, you know, animals dying, being, you know, people, you know, treating them cruelly, using them, dying. That was the theme, wasn't it, in The Beast Below as well. And this was a brilliant theme. He goes sometimes, and I forgot what he exactly says. He says, winning's not good, or whatever he says, right? Him, Amy, and Vincent are just standing there. Yeah, they won, but it's not a great victory because the creature died. Again, this is a better way of showing the valuation of life with the Doctor than they did in season 11, where you could see they were trying to say that this woman is very passionate about the preservation of life, but it wasn't done in a very smart way. Where obviously Richard Curtis, Chris Chibnall, Richard Curtis is a very, very talented man. It's as simple as that, and you can see it from this episode, right? And credit to Stephen Moffat for bringing people like Neil Gaiman and Richard Curtis in. So it really is a beautiful episode. And when he's laying on the bed and he's saying, "Leave me alone, please," he's saying to the doctor, "Leave me alone," and he walks away. But it's then where there's this relationship blooming between Amy and Vincent. Now, obviously, Amy can't remember Rory anymore, so maybe there's some initial feelings for Vincent. I think this episode just is like a flower. It blooms so beautifully. And obviously, I've got to talk about the final scene when Van Gogh is taken by the Doctor and Amy to the museum, which we saw at the start of the episode, with the curator, a.k.a. Bill Nye. Now, something about Bill Nye, a lot of people know him really well as an actor. I first saw him in Love Actually and absolutely fell in love with this actor. He is amazing. But the speech that he delivers, and that is written beautifully by Richard Curtis, really nails, slam dunks this episode as a classic. And the song playing. You don't really get songs like that playing on Doctor Who, but it works. As a creative person, nothing would be more beautiful to me than to stand somewhere without this person knowing it while they're saying beautiful things about my work, about my creativity. And that's for any of us creative people would dream about that, standing there and listening to someone saying all these wonderful things, and how important our work meant to them. And this is what this curator's saying. Vincent's got his back turned to him, and he's hearing those things. These beautiful things, what he meant for art, what he meant to the world. And then Vincent, does Vincent cuddle him? I think he does. He obviously doesn't realise he's Vincent van Gogh. But it's such a beautiful, all-inspiring, powerful moment. And it truly is. And I realised there was a couple of fights on Twitter yesterday, because one of the people I follow is saying, "You see, I like this, and this is why I don't like the Chris Chibnall era, blah, blah, blah." And someone said, "Why do you have to be so negative?" For me, the guy was just being constructive. Personally, while these watch-alongs are happening, I don't mention Chibnall. I think I mentioned him once yesterday, but I tried not to be too toxic about it. I wasn't toxic at all about it. But I think it's just best to say. The only thing I did say was, this is how you deal with social issue commentary, like I've said to you guys. This is how it's done. And when you do compare it to what Chibnall's doing, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. There's a lack of talent there. There's this, what can I say? It's just putting your boots on and just treading in, rather than just being softly with the commentary that you're making. The most beautiful commentary works when you do it very softly and gently. But when you put your size 9s in, it really doesn't work, and people accuse you of being preachy. That's the difference. Russell T Davies had the tact of doing it, and Stephen Moffat's era had the tact of doing it. And unfortunately, Chris Chibnall's era at this moment in time simply doesn't have the craft of doing that. Vincent and the Doctor is a beautiful piece of art in the Doctor Who franchise. It's episodes like that make me grateful that the revival even happened. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. See you again soon.